Rian sat quietly inside the cockpit of his ship, the small vessel humming as it drifted near the edge of a dying star. He had just finished the hardest task of his life. For many hours he had worked outside in a heavy suit, repairing the ancient beacon that floated above the star's burning surface. That beacon was old, forgotten by most, but it was important to the Galactic Union. It was a signal post, one of many across the galaxy, guiding ships safely through dangerous regions. Without it, entire trade routes could fall into chaos. When the final panel locked into place and the beacon began to shine again, Ryan felt relief in his chest. He was not a soldier or a commander. He was just a human engineer who knew how to work with machines. Still, the Union had called him and he had answered. They had needed someone small, quick, and clever enough to manage the repairs before the beacon fell completely silent. Now the beacon pulsed with a steady rhythm. His mission was complete. He expected nothing more than a few words of thanks, perhaps a handful of credits to add to his account. To Ryan, that was enough. He had done his duty. The Union's message arrived as he sat back in his chair. The voice was clear and official, echoing in the small cabin. Ryan of Earth, your service has been noted. The Galactic Union expresses gratitude. Your reward will be delivered shortly. Remain in position until arrival. Ryan gave a tired laugh. A reward, he thought. Maybe a crate of supplies or a new toolkit. He had not eaten well in weeks, so perhaps something fresh to taste. He closed his eyes and let his ship drift in the empty dark, the stars glowing around him. A short time later, the radar began to beep. A Union transport ship approached, large and silver, moving with smooth grace. Ryan straightened in his seat, wondering what they would give him. The transport stopped a short distance away, and a smaller pod detached from it, gliding toward his ship. The pod latched onto his airlock with a sharp click. Rian went to meet it. The door slid open, and for a moment he expected to see a box or a container. Instead, what he saw froze him in place. Inside the pod stood a tall figure, still and silent. The figure was a woman, but not human. Her skin was pale, almost glowing against the dim light. Her hair was black and long, flowing like liquid shadow. Her eyes shone faintly red, not with anger, but with some inner power that he could not understand. She wore simple garments, smooth and silver, that clung to her tall frame. The woman took a step forward. Her voice was soft, musical, yet filled with strength. Are you the one called Rian? He blinked. Yes, I am. I am Mira, she said. Guardian of the House of Vale. I was placed in stasis long ago. The Union has chosen you to take me from here and return me to my people. Ryan's mind raced. This was no crate, no box of food. This was a person. An alien woman who looked like a dream or a story told in hushed voices. He had heard of many species, but none quite like this. I don't understand, he said carefully. Why me? I only repaired a beacon. The Union rewards service with responsibility, Mira said, her red eyes steady. I am that responsibility. The words sank into him slowly. He felt his chest tighten. A part of him wanted to refuse. He was only an engineer. He had no ship large enough for guests, no crew to care for others, but the Union had given him this task. To refuse would mean disrespect. He stepped aside, gesturing to the small space behind him. Then, welcome aboard. My ship is not much, but it will take us where we need to go. Mira entered, moving with quiet grace. She looked around the cabin, her eyes scanning every corner. It is small but strong. It will do. Ryan sealed the pod behind her and returned to his seat. For a while, silence filled the cabin. He tried not to stare, but it was difficult. She was unlike any being he had seen. Her presence seemed to change the air itself, making it heavier yet strangely calm. Finally, he asked, You said you were placed in stasis. Why? Mira folded her hands, her gaze fixed on the stars outside. My people were at war long ago. I gave myself to sleep so that others might live. I was told I would wake when the time was right. It seems the time is now, Ryan frowned. He did not know what to say. The weight of her story was heavy, yet her voice was calm, as though she carried it with acceptance. The Union's voice returned through the calm. Human Ryan, your duty is to ensure Mira's safe passage. She is rare among her people. Do not fail. Ryan nodded, though no one could see him. Understood. When the channel closed, he leaned back, exhaling slowly. He had thought the reward would be simple. Now he carried a living legend. Mira turned her eyes to him, a faint smile touching her lips. You look uneasy. He gave a nervous laugh. I thought I was going to get a box of tools. Instead, I have you. Her smile deepened, though it held mystery. Perhaps I am more useful than a box of tools. Ryan could not argue with that. He set the course toward open space, unsure where the journey would take them. Inside, he felt a mix of fear and wonder. His life had changed in a single moment. The reward he had imagined was gone. In its place was Mira, the alien woman who seemed to belong to another world entirely. As the ship drifted away from the old beacon, Ryan glanced at her once more. She sat quietly, her posture straight, her red eyes glowing faintly in the dim cabin light. She looked like someone who had lived 1,000 lives. Yet now she was here, sharing the silence with him. Ryan knew this was only the beginning. He had been given a task greater than anything he had ever faced. The beacon had been a challenge of machines. This was a challenge of trust, courage, and mystery. For the first time, Ryan wondered if the real reward was not the mission completed, but the journey that was about to begin. The ship moved quietly through space, its engines humming like a calm song. Ryan sat in the pilot's chair, his eyes fixed on the navigation screen, but his mind was not on the stars. He kept thinking about the woman who now sat behind him, Mira. She was not just a passenger. She was a responsibility given by the Union, and her presence made the small ship feel very different. For the first few hours, they spoke very little. Mira sat in silence, her eyes often closed as though she was listening to something beyond the walls. Her posture was straight, her expression calm. It was not the silence of sleep, but the silence of thought. Ryan found himself glancing at her again and again, trying to understand who she was. At last, curiosity overcame him. He cleared his throat and asked, "Do you need anything? Food, water?" Mira opened her eyes slowly, her red gaze meeting his. "I do not eat as you do," she answered. "My body draws energy from sources you cannot see. Light, heat, even the life force of stars. I will not burden your supplies," Ryan blinked. "So you do not eat at all?" "I can if needed," Mira said. "But what I take is different. My people were shaped long ago to live in places where others could not. Darkness, shadow, thin air. We thrive where most would wither." Her words made him uneasy, but also fascinated him. He had heard rumors of species that lived on energy, but he had never met one. "You sound like the stories humans tell," Ryan said quietly. "Stories of shadow beings, creatures that drink the life of others." Mira's eyes narrowed slightly, not in anger, but in thought. "Yes, I have heard that humans call us vampire. It is not fully true, but it is not fully false either. Legends have a way of growing from a seed of truth." The word hung in the air. Vampire. Ryan had read such tales in his youth, stories of pale beings who moved by night. Looking at Mira now, he understood why such stories existed. Yet she was no monster. She sat calmly, speaking with honesty, her voice soft. Ryan leaned back, trying to relax. "If others see you, they may not understand. They may fear you." Mira's lips curved into the faintest smile. "Fear has followed my people for ages. It is not new to me. But you do not fear me." "Why?" Ryan paused. He considered his answer carefully. "Because fear is useless to me. I do not know you yet, but I can learn. Machines break because we fear to touch them. Problems grow because we fear to face them. I learned long ago that fear changes nothing. Only action does." Mira tilted her head slightly, studying him. "You are an unusual human." "I am just an engineer," he replied. "Perhaps that is what makes you unusual," Mira said. The conversation ended there, but the air between them felt different. Mira was no longer silent only for herself. She was listening to him, measuring him, and perhaps even trusting him a little. Later, while Ryan worked on the navigation panel, he noticed something strange. Mira moved across the cabin without making a sound, her steps lighter than air. She paused near the main engine, her hand hovering over the metal surface. Ryan felt the hum of the engine change for a moment, like a deeper vibration passing through the ship. "What are you doing?" he asked. Ryan studied her for a moment. He saw no monster, no creature of legend. He saw someone who carried the weight of sacrifice, someone who feared rejection despite her strength. "Then let them decide," he said. "But never believe you are less because of time. Sacrifice does not lose its meaning no matter how many years pass." Mira looked at him, her expression softening. For the first time, her red eyes seemed warm rather than distant. "You speak as though you know." Ryan smiled faintly. "I know what it is to be forgotten. Humans are often small in the eyes of the galaxy, But that does not mean we have no value. Mira regarded him in silence, then turned back to the stars. Perhaps there is more to your kind than the Union believes. The following days passed quietly, yet the connection between them deepened. Mira asked him about Earth, about oceans and forests, about the sun that gave warmth without burning. Ryan told her of simple things: rain on metal rooftops, the sound of birds, the taste of fruit. She listened with interest, as though each detail was a gift. In return, Mira shared stories of her home, a world lit by red stars, where shadows danced across silver towers, and her people lived in harmony with the dark. She spoke of music that could be heard only at night, of festivals that lasted until dawn, of silence that was not emptiness but peace. The more Ryan listened, the more he understood her people were not monsters at all. They were simply different, shaped by their world. Yet outside their small ship, danger was always near. The Union had warned him that others might want Mira for themselves. Her abilities, her knowledge, even her blood, could tempt those who saw only power. When the first shadow of pursuit appeared on his radar, Ryan knew their journey would not be easy. But as he looked at Mira, calm and steady, he felt something stir inside him. Fear would not control him. She had trusted him with her story. Now it was his turn to prove worthy of that trust. And so, human and alien, engineer and guardian, they set their course forward together, not as master and prize, but as companions bound by choice and circumstance. The ship glided through the empty stretch of stars, but Ryan's eyes stayed fixed on the glowing dots moving across his radar. 3 signals followed at a steady distance. They were not Union patrols. He could tell by the pattern. These were scavenger fleets, small but dangerous groups that hunted for rare cargo, and Mira, sitting calmly in the passenger seat, was more valuable than any cargo. Ryan tightened his grip on the controls. "We are not alone," he said. Mira opened her eyes. She had been resting in her strange, silent way, but now she leaned forward. Her gaze settled on the screen. "They are not Union ships." "No," Ryan agreed. "They are scavengers. They wait for a chance to strike. They will not attack yet, but they will follow us until we are tired or cornered." Mira's voice was calm. "They want me." Ryan glanced at her. "Yes, but they will have to go through me first." For a long moment neither spoke. The hum of the ship filled the silence. Then Mira asked, "You know they are stronger than you. Why do you not give me to them? You could live. They would not harm you if you stepped aside." Ryan gave a short laugh, though his eyes stayed serious. "I repaired a beacon because no one else could. I do not give up because something is difficult. The Union gave me responsibility for you. I keep my word." Mira studied him, her red eyes glowing faintly. "Your kind may be small in body, but your will is not small." Ryan returned his attention to the screen. "We will see if will is enough." He adjusted the course, guiding the ship into a field of drifting rocks. The scavengers stayed behind, but they grew closer. Their ships were larger, built for speed and capture. His vessel was light, made for work, not war. He would need to be clever. For hours, Ryan wove between rocks, using the field to slow the pursuers. Each move was sharp, each turn careful. The scavengers tried to follow, but their ship scraped against stone and metal. One pulled back, engines smoking. Mira stood beside him, silent but watchful. At last she said, "You fight not with weapons, but with thought. This is your strength." Ryan gave a quick smile. "I told you I'm only an engineer. I solve problems. This is just another problem." But deep inside, he knew the danger was far from over. When they finally cleared the rock field, only 2 scavenger ships remained. They kept their distance, waiting for the next chance. Ryan leaned back, breathing hard. "We bought some time, but not enough." Mira placed a hand lightly on the console. "Your machines sing of strain. They cannot keep this chase forever." "I know," Ryan admitted. "We need to outsmart them again." For the first time, Mira looked uncertain. "I could face them. My strength is greater than yours. If they take me, I might fight." "No," Ryan said firmly. "If they capture you, they win. My ship may be small, but space is wide. We will find another way." She regarded him in silence, then nodded slowly. "You place my life above your own." "I place duty above fear," he answered. The words seemed to settle between them. Mira's expression softened. She turned her gaze back to the stars, as if something inside her was shifting. The next days passed in tense quiet. The scavengers followed like shadows, never too close, never too far. Ryan slept in short hours, always half awake, always ready to move. Mira never slept as he did. She kept watch, her glowing eyes fixed on the radar when he rested. Their bond grew in those silent hours, unspoken but real. One evening, Ryan sat at the controls, his face pale with fatigue. Mira moved closer. "You cannot continue without rest. Your body will fail." He shook his head. "If I sleep too long, we lose everything." Mira hesitated, then placed her hand over his. Her touch was cool but gentle. "Trust me. I will guard us. You have guarded me. Now let me guard you." For a moment, Ryan wanted to refuse, but the weight of his eyes betrayed him. At last, he nodded. "Wake me if they move closer." "I will," Mira promised. When Ryan lay back, sleep came quickly. Mira stood by the controls, silent as stone. Hours passed. She did not tire. Her people were made to endure long watches in dark silence. As she listened to the steady hum of the ship, she thought of her past. She thought of the world she had left behind, of the people she had sworn to protect. She thought of the long sleep of stasis, the dreamless void, and now this human who chose duty over fear. When Ryan awoke, the scavengers were still there, steady as before. Mira looked down at him. They did not move closer. "We are safe for now." "Thank you," he said quietly. For a moment, neither spoke further. The bond between them was growing, built not on command but on trust. But safety could not last forever. On the third day, the scavengers grew bold. Their ship surged forward, weapons glowing. The first blast shook Ryan's vessel, alarms ringing through the cabin. Ryan gritted his teeth. "They are done waiting." Mira's eyes blazed with light. "Then we cannot run forever." Ryan worked quickly, his hands flying over the controls. He guided the ship toward a nearby nebula, a thick cloud of gas and energy. "If we enter, their scanners will fail. But so will mine. We will be blind." Mira stepped forward, her voice calm. "Then I will guide us. I feel energy as you feel air. Inside the nebula, I can sense what you cannot." Ryan looked at her, uncertain. "You are sure?" "Yes," she said simply. He trusted her. Without hesitation, he steered the ship into the glowing cloud. Darkness swallowed them, colors swirling outside like a storm. His screens went dark, filled with static. "Mira," he said. "I am here," she answered. Her hand rested on the console, her eyes closed. "Turn left. Now climb. Slow, steady. Do not fight the flow, follow it." Ryan obeyed. He felt blind, but her voice was steady, guiding him through the storm. Behind them, the scavenger ships fired wildly, their shots lost in the cloud. "Down," Mira said sharply. Ryan pulled the ship downward, and a bright flash lit the nebula above them. One scavenger ship collided with a burst of energy, vanishing from the radar. Only one remained, circling blindly. "Now," Mira whispered. "Straight ahead, then rise," Ryan followed. The ship burst free of the nebula into clear space, stars shining around them. The last scavenger was nowhere in sight. Ryan let out a long breath, his hands trembling. "We did it." Mira opened her eyes, her red gaze glowing. "We did it together." For a long moment, the two sat in silence, their hearts still racing. Ryan realized she had not only saved him but trusted him to trust her. In that storm of energy, they had been one team, human and alien, each using their strength. As the ship sailed forward into calmer space, Ryan looked at Mira with new respect. She was not just a reward or a passenger. She was an ally. Mira, too, felt something shift inside her. For the first time in many years, she felt not only duty but hope. This human, small in body but vast in will, had shown her a path she had not imagined. The shadows of the past still followed them, but together they had found light in the storm. The stars shifted as Ryan's ship followed the final path given by the Union's coordinates. After many days of travel, the map showed a single glowing mark. It was Mira's homeworld, the place she had left long ago, the place she had feared to face again. From the distance, the planet looked different from Earth. Its surface was dark, lit by the faint glow of red stars that circled it. Shadows stretched across mountain ranges and seas that reflected crimson light. To Ryan, it looked strange yet beautiful, like a world painted in dusk. Mira stood near the viewport, her eyes fixed on the sight. For a long time, she said nothing. Ryan could see her pale hands tighten against the frame. Finally, she whispered, "Home." "You have not seen it for a long time," Ryan said gently. "Centuries," Mira answered. "The last time I looked upon this world, I was preparing to give myself to stasis. I feared it might be the last time. Ryan placed a hand on the console. Then today is a return. That should mean something. Her red eyes flicked toward him. It means everything and nothing. My people may welcome me, or they may see me as a ghost that should have stayed in sleep. Before Ryan could reply, a signal lit up the screen. A deep voice came through the comm. Unidentified human vessel, you approach the Veil world. State your purpose. Ryan pressed the control. This is Rian of Earth. I carry Mira of the House of Veil. She has returned at the request of the Union. There was a long pause. Then the voice returned, shaken but strong. Impossible. She is gone. Mira stepped forward, her voice cutting through the channel with calm power. I am Mira, I live. Open the path. Silence followed. Then the channel closed, and a formation of sleek dark ships appeared around them, guiding the small vessel toward the planet. As they entered the atmosphere, Ryan saw towering spires rise from the land, silver and black structures that shimmered faintly under the red light. The cities were elegant, almost like flowing shapes of stone and glass. Shadows moved along bridges and towers, figures with pale skin and glowing eyes. Mira's people. They landed on a wide platform of black stone. Guards surrounded them, tall figures with long cloaks and sharp eyes. Ryan felt their gaze settle on him with suspicion, but it was Mira who drew their full attention. When she stepped from the ship, silence spread across the platform. Some stared with awe, some with fear. Whispers rose like wind through a forest. She lives. It cannot be. The Guardian returns. An elder stepped forward, his face lined with age though his eyes glowed bright. He bowed his head slightly. Mira of the Veil, we thought you lost to time. Mira's voice was steady. I gave myself to stasis to save our world. Now I return. The elder looked at her, then at Rian. His tone grew sharp. And you return with a human at your side. Explain this. Ryan straightened, feeling all eyes on him. I am no threat. The Union gave me the duty to guard Mira. I have done so. Murmurs spread through the crowd. Some looked at him with distrust, others with curiosity. The elder's gaze remained hard. Humans are young. You know little of our ways. Why should we allow you here? Before Rian could answer, Mira stepped closer to the elder. He is here because he chose duty, when others would have chosen fear. He stood between me and danger. He is not my jailer, but my companion. Her words silenced the murmurs for a moment. The elder studied her long, then gestured. The council will decide. Come. They were led into a vast hall lit by soft red light. Tall pillars rose around them, carved with flowing patterns. At the far end sat the council, a group of leaders with eyes that glowed like coals. The elder spoke. Council, Mira has returned from stasis. She comes with a human. What is to be done? The council chamber filled with voices. Some leaders welcomed her, speaking of hope and renewal. Others feared her return, warning of old shadows rising again. She belongs to the past, one counselor declared. She is proof that sacrifice still lives, another countered. And the human? Why is he here? A third demanded. Rian stood in silence, letting them speak. He knew this was not his place. But when one counselor raised a hand and said, the human must be removed, Ryan felt the weight of the moment. I will speak, he said firmly. The chamber fell silent, all eyes turning to him. Ryan took a breath. His voice was steady, though inside his heart pounded. I am not here to rule or interfere. I am only an engineer, a man who repaired a broken beacon. But I tell you this. Mira is no ghost. She is no burden. She is a leader who gave her life for her people. She is alive, and that should not be feared. If you cannot see her value, then you do not understand sacrifice. Mira looked at him, surprise softening her strong features. The council murmured again, some moved by his words, others unmoved. At last, the elder raised his hand. Enough, Mira has the right to choose. She may remain among us, or she may return to the Union. The choice is hers. All eyes turned to Mira. She stood tall, her face calm but her eyes deep with thought. For a long time, she said nothing. Ryan watched her, knowing this moment was heavier than any battle. Finally, Mira spoke. I do not know yet where I belong. My heart is with my people, but my path is not clear. I must decide with time. The council accepted her words, though uneasily. The elder bowed his head. Then you will be honored as a guardian returned. But the human must remain under watch. Ryan nodded. He had expected nothing less. That night, Mira led him to a balcony high above the city. The red stars glowed above, casting their strange light across the world. Below, the city pulsed with movement and shadow. "They do not trust me fully," she said softly. "They will," Ryan answered. "They only need to see what I have seen." She turned toward him, her pale face framed by the red glow. "You defended me in their hall. You had no reason, yet you spoke for me." "I spoke the truth," Ryan said simply. For the first time, Mira's voice softened with something like warmth. "Perhaps the Union gave me more than a guardian. Perhaps they gave me a friend." Ryan met her gaze, and for a moment the weight of stars seemed lighter. But in the shadows of the city, unseen eyes watched. Not all were pleased with her return. Factions stirred in silence, and whispers of division spread. Mira had come home, but home was not at peace. The days that followed Mira's return were filled with tension. The council announced her presence to the people, and the news spread across the planet like fire in dry grass. Some citizens lit their towers in honor, celebrating the return of a guardian who had once protected their world. Others spoke in fear, whispering that her awakening was a sign of old struggles yet to come. Rian stayed close to her, watched by silent guards who never left his side. Though he was not treated as a prisoner, he knew he was not free either. The people of this world did not understand him. They saw him as an intruder, a human among beings who had lived for ages, but Mira's presence shielded him, and her voice often calmed the anger of those who wanted him gone. One evening, the council called Mira again. Ryan was not allowed into the chamber, so he waited outside, sitting on a stone bench beneath the crimson glow of their world's twin moons. Time passed slowly, and he wondered what decisions were being made within those walls. When Mira finally emerged, her expression was unreadable. She walked toward him, her cloak trailing behind her like a river of shadow. "They gave me a choice," she said softly. Ryan stood. "And what choice is that? To stay here and accept the seat of power they offer, or to return to the Union as an envoy? If I stay, I become a leader of my people. If I go, I bridge the space between two worlds." Her voice was calm, but Ryan could feel the weight pressing down on her. He nodded slowly. "What do you want?" She looked away, her eyes following the red horizon. "I do not know. My heart belongs here, yet I have changed. I am not the woman I was when I left. And I carry the bond of the path I walked with you." Ryan was silent. He knew this was not his decision, yet a small part of him wished he would choose the second path, the one that would not tear them apart. Before he could answer, a sudden tremor shook the ground. The city lights flickered. From the towers above, alarms began to sound. Mira's eyes narrowed. "They come," she whispered. "Who?" Ryan asked quickly. "The ones who do not want me to lead, factions that see my return as a threat. They move now." The guards rushed across the plaza, shouting orders. Dark shapes appeared at the far edge of the city, small crafts descending with blinding beams of light. The sky roared as explosions lit the horizon. Mira drew Ryan into the shadows of a column. "Stay close. They will come for me, not for you, but they will not spare anyone who stands in their way." Ryan's heart raced. He had been through danger before, but this was different. The city was at war with itself. Mira moved with speed and grace, leading him through corridors and across bridges as fire lit the sky. From the towers above, defenders launched into the air, their wings of light glowing as they clashed with the invaders. The sound of battle filled the night, sharp and relentless. Ryan could see the faces of citizens torn between fear and hope, watching from the safety of their homes. They reached a wide hall where the council had gathered. Some leaders were panicked, others furious. "It is her fault," one shouted. "Her return brought this." Mira's voice cut through the chaos. "My return revealed the cracks that already existed. Do not blame me for what was already growing in the dark." The elder counselor stepped forward, his expression grim. "If you stand with us, Mira, then prove it now. Lead our defense." Mira's eyes burned with resolve. She turned to Ryan. "Stay here. You are not of this fight." But Ryan shook his head. "I may not be one of you, but I will not stand aside while you fight for your life. I came this far with you. I will not stop now." For a moment, Mira studied him. Then she gave a small nod. "Very well. Then stay by my side." Together they moved to the high walls of the city. The attackers had broken through the outer defenses, their dark ships striking the towers with beams of burning energy. Mira raised her hand, and from her palm surged a wave of light, Sharp as fire, yet cool as water. The invaders were struck back, their ships faltering in the air. Rian watched in awe. He had seen her strength before, but never on this scale. Her power was not of violence, but of balance, light against shadow. She moved like a storm, yet every strike was precise. Still, the attackers were many. They pressed forward, shouting words Rian did not understand. He saw one figure break through the defenses and rush toward Mira, blade raised. Without thinking, Rian leaped forward, tackling the attacker before the blade could fall. The impact drove him hard against the ground, pain shooting through his side. But he held on, grappling until guards arrived to pull the attacker away. Mira was suddenly there, lifting him with strength that seemed effortless. Her eyes burned with concern. "You could have been killed," Rian managed a weak grin. "And let you fight alone?" "Not a chance." For a moment, her pale face softened, but the battle raged on. She turned back, her cloak sweeping like wings of night, and unleashed another surge of light. The fight lasted through the long hours of the night. At last, as the twin moons reached their peak, the attackers fell back, their ships retreating into the shadows of the horizon. The city was scarred but still standing. On the walls, the defenders raised their weapons in triumph. The council declared Mira the savior of their people once again. Citizens lit fires in the towers, not of fear this time, but of honor. Yet Mira stood apart from the celebration. She looked over the city, then at Rian. "This is not victory," she said. "It is only survival. My people are divided, and my presence will not heal them overnight. I must choose a path that can bring true peace." Rian placed a hand on the stone rail. "Then what will you choose?" For a long time she did not answer. The red light of the stars bathed her in shadow and glow, as if the heavens themselves waited for her words. Finally she turned to him. "I will not rule alone in silence," she said. "I will walk between worlds. I will serve as envoy to the Union. But I will return often to guide my people. They must see that strength is not in hiding but in joining hands with others." Rian felt relief wash through him. It was the choice that kept her path open, the choice that meant they would not be parted forever. The council accepted her decision, though some still doubted. But the people cheered, seeing in her not a ghost of the past, but a leader of the present. Days later, when they prepared to leave, Rian stood once more on the platform beside Mira. The ship waited, its engines ready. Guards and citizens watched, some in silence, some in respect. Mira looked back at her world one last time. "I never thought I would return. I never thought I would leave again. Yet here I stand, with more than I ever imagined." Rian smiled faintly. "Thinking the reward would be simple, I was surprised to receive an alien vampire woman. And somehow I think it was the best reward I could have asked for." Her red eyes softened, and for the first time she allowed herself a true smile. Together they stepped onto the ship, ready to face whatever waited among the stars. Above them, the red world slowly faded into distance, but its light remained in their hearts, a reminder of sacrifice, friendship, and a bond that no distance could break.